Hello everybody and welcome to CL Aldridge Art follow-up video, follow-up midweek video. This is a continuation of a coloring project that I started on my Sunday live stream last week, and I'm coloring in the book Flora by Maria Trolle, and we are doing this adorable picture of the little hut by the, in the trees, by the river, using Derwent Inktense. Now, I should mention that this video did have sound when I laid it down. Unfortunately, for some reason, the sound part didn't actually get recorded. Undoubtedly, it was user error, as opposed to any equipment failure. But on the other hand, the system has been through a lot. Since I last fired it up, it's been shut down with power outages a couple times, and of course the lines were all torn off the house for the internet, and that finally got fixed last week. And so anyway, for those of you who might not know me, my name is Christine Aldridge. I am an artist. I do draw coloring books for a living. Most of those books are available, well, actually all of them are available through Amazon worldwide, and also as PDF, print your own on your own paper through my Etsy shop, CL Aldridge Art. There are 12 books altogether, including the newest one, which is Dragons, Flowers, and Mandalas Oh My, that is just popping up now. And once again, they're all available in print through Amazon or in my Etsy shop. Just search by CL Aldridge. You can also choose to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I am on all three. I am more active on one or the other at any given time. I do also have a coloring group called CL Aldridge Arts Coloring in Bloom Coloring Club. It's a long name. Pretty vase. Didn't really belong in this video. I think I'll probably cut that. Well, maybe not. I'll just leave it since I'm talking about it. I'm not sure what I am talking about in this particular part of the video. I do know that I wanted to tell you guys that I wanted to darken up some of the area down there on the riverbank where the boat is docked because I was operating under a bizarre assumption for some reason that whoever lived in that little hut was going to have to climb through those tree roots. This, of course, was before I noticed that there was a perfectly good ladder to climb up and down right there. So I had made some coloring choices that were incorrect, and I'm going to go back and fix those as we speak. And off we go to the races. The first thing I'm doing here is I'm just using the dark chocolate to sort of darken up this riverbank. Once again, I did think, for reasons unknown, that that whoever lived there was going to have to climb through those tree roots. And then, of course, I saw the ladder. It provided a funny moment in Sunday's stream, so if you want to go back and watch that one, there are a couple of Christine-isms in there. Which is always funny. Now I'm going to fiddle here with the camera just a bit, make sure that you can see exactly what I'm doing. And there we go. So just adding a little bit of color over these areas with the water brush to activate the color. Now it is darker as it initially goes on, and in just a second I believe I'm going to reach for a paper towel to be able to dab off the end of my brush. And that's important because as you work with Inktense, the pigment tends to build up on the tip of your brush. So it's good to keep a little piece of paper towel or kitchen towel available, or a your watercolor cloth will work as well. Just whatever it is that you need to just be able to dab off any excess pigment, especially if it builds up or starts to pool. So I was trying to figure out earlier what I was talking about as I filmed this, and I think that one of the things that I was probably going on and on about, I like to color and then just chat about things that I've seen or done that day. And one of the things that I do is I follow a fair number of homesteading channels, and I try and shout them out. My current favorites are Whippoorwill Holler, which I was turned on to by a subscriber to my channel, who especially likes that one. And they are a middle-aged couple out of Arkansas, and they bought a house, or they bought a piece of property, and then they built a small 1,000-square-foot cabin on it. And they've also got, of course, chickens and a large garden. And but Miss Lori has got this house just set up perfectly for the two of them. It's got a nice large bedroom. Otherwise, it's basically one room that has a beautiful kitchen. Danny, Mr. Brown, has built her a beautiful pantry. Their heating is by a wood cook stove that they fire up. So it's not only is it a great sense of heat or source of heat, but it's also useful. In addition, of course, she does have a gas stove, a propane gas stove. And so I really enjoy listening to her talk about gardening and recipes, canning, lots of common sense food preparation, things like that. So I've been catching up. They are both involved in the school system. They're both employed by the school system, so obviously they've got a lot going on. I will tell you that I've started on the leaves of this large fern, and what I'm using there toward the inside is the light olive. Now, light olive is kind of it's not light, but it's not a super dark pencil either ink, but it is a decidedly olive green. And then I've also got the fern and the leaf green in my hand for this particular leaf frond. It is in fact a fern frond. So one of the other channels that I really enjoy is one called Homestead Heart. Now, Homestead Heart is a couple that are, they're old enough to have grandchildren, but they're not old. they're not old folks. They're actually fairly young, and they bought a 10-acre homestead or parcel of property with a house on it in Georgia. And they are absolutely going to town with, turning this property into a full-on farm to support their family but everything is sort of a new experience. Although, of course, she's been canning and gardening for years. Anytime that you take on a new piece of property, it's always an adventure. And I had thought, the other one that I watch is a channel called Lead Farmer 73. Now, Lead Farmer is full of all sorts of practical advice. Now, his homestead is a smaller acreage in a suburb somewhere in South Carolina, I believe, is where he's located. But he's got a pond on his property, or at least it backs up. He's got a lot of fruit trees. He knows an awful lot about growing banana trees, lemon trees, fig trees, persimmon trees, all kinds of wonderful fruit trees that do well in that area. And so he also is a beekeeper. He and his wife are beekeepers as well as gardeners. And so Homestead Heart is learning to keep bees by watching Lead Farmer. Lead Farmer is learning to can. He's learning to can food, and from watching Homestead Heart. And so they have this sort of channel collaboration. Well, now I thought they probably knew each other, right? Or at least by now, because it's been going on for a few weeks, and it's been a lot of fun to watch. Because Lead Farmer is very creative with his videos. He has been making content for YouTube for a while, and so he's not boring to watch, that's for sure. And so anyway, this weekend he had a party at his house because, or for his subscribers online, because he had just gotten his 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. And in the meantime, over at Homestead Heart, there was some devastation going on. Probably about a month ago, maybe a little bit more, she had put in 2 brand new beehives, and bought a queen bee and all of the little baby bees and all of that, and started 2 brand new hives. And so on, I don't remember what day it was. Let's say it was Monday. She had just finished her morning chores, and she was, the kids were inside. Her grandkids are visiting, so they were inside the house doing their schoolwork, and she was taking a relaxing walk down Loofah Lane, which is where the loofahs are growing. I did not know that loofahs are actually a plant. For some reason, I thought that those loofahs that you buy at the Bed Bath & Beyond were like a sea creature, but they're not. They're actually they almost look like a squash. And they grow, and you leave them on the vine until they're completely dried out, and then you crack off the outer skin, and what's left is what we know as a loofah. And so she's got us headed down Loofah Lane, and we're looking at all the pretty loofahs, and there's just tons of butterflies all over her gorgeous sunflowers. The sunflowers are just starting to dip their heads, with getting heavy with the seeds, sunflower seeds, and everything is just hunky-dory. And she rounds the corner, and there her beehive is bearding. Now, I don't know what that means, and neither did she. So, obviously, she ended the video there and went inside the house and started to research about, the bearding. And as soon as her husband came home, they suited up their beekeeping suits and they went out to investigate. And what they found was devastation. Apparently, their hive, one of the hives, had their strongest hive, had been attacked by something called a bald-faced wasp. And the bees, unable to fend off the wasp, the attack, had swarmed. And so they left. Basically, they felt like their home, their beehive was not safe any longer, and they needed to get their queen out of Dodge. So they took her and they went off into what turned out to be a tree. But we didn't know that yet. So at this point in time, all the watchers know, all the subscribers know, is that the swarm has hive. The hive has swarmed. And, for all we know, it's gone forever. And so she posted that video, and I think that was on Tuesday. And Lead Farmer 73 got home from work. He works for the Postal Service. His wife is a teacher. Once again, I think they live in South Carolina. And he said that he didn't even finish his dinner. He just popped the camera on live, and because he didn't know how to get a hold of her. He knew exactly what had happened by by looking at because she didn't know that it was a bald-faced wasp. She just simply held up a dead one to the camera and asked if anybody knew what this was. And of course, immediately commenters started commenting on the video, but by then, of course, it had been edited and posted and all of that, so who knows how many hours had gone by. So Lead Farmer, realizing that it was actually kind of a crisis situation with a swarm out there somewhere, wanted to let her know that there was still time to save the swarm, basically. So he popped on, and he and his wife gave an awful lot of really good sound advice. One of the benefits, I think, of this is that I get to learn about beekeeping as well. Even though I'll never be keeping bees. But, nonetheless, it's like everything else. A little knowledge is a good thing to have. So anyway, he knew exactly what the creature was. He knew exactly what had happened, and he was able to offer up an awful lot of really good sound advice, not the least of which was instructions on how to get the hive back, how to get the swarm back again. And so it was really kind of cool because this morning, based upon his advice, she was able to go out with what's called the nuke box, which is the box that the bees originally came in. And because their queen's smell is in that box. And so he said that they probably hadn't gone very far. They were probably on the tree line somewhere. But, I mean, she's got 10 acres surrounded by trees. So where do you start? And so she wasn't really sure. You could tell how dispirited she was, over the fact that her bees were gone. Because like every good farmer, I mean, when you care for a creature, when you take on caring for a creature, whether it's a honeybee or a goat or a chicken or whatever, it's your creature. You come to care about it. And so she cares about her bees. And they were out there all by themselves all night. And they were scared and they were hurt. I may be reading in more to that than is actually there. But nonetheless, so she set about, and she set up the camera, and she set about taking the box out to one of the nearby tree lines, the one that was kind of the closest to where the hive actually was. Because she'd had her hive set up in a perfect location where there was, in the hot part of the day, there was shade for it. It was near the pond, so there was water for them. It was, adjacent to two of the big gardens, so there was plenty of pollen for them to gather and turn to honey, that kind of thing. It was just the perfect location. So one of the pieces of advice was that, that she got was, now that the hornets know where the hive was, she's going to have to move it. So, so she's dealing with all of that in her head, and she's looking around as she's walking away with this nuke box to go set it out somewhere, hoping that the swarm would come, and she saw them. Not all of them, but a big portion of them were attached to a tree low in the branches not far away. And she came loping back to the camera and, to say that she had seen them. And you could, judging by the comments, my own included, I mean, there were people out there who cried, real tears of joy for this woman, that she had found her bees. And man, I'll tell you what, talk about brave. She did not even hesitate. She put on her bee suit. She took the box out. She carefully, she maneuvered her way into where the bees were all, because what they do is the queen will be in the center, and then there's this ball of bees surrounding her. And so she went out, and they don't care about you. They don't care about you, the person, unless you're disturbing them, whatever. But no smoker, no anything like that. She didn't have any of that stuff with her. She went out. She carefully bent back all of the limbs that would cause her to not get a good solid shake on the branch. She positioned the box right underneath, and she shook that branch for all it was worth, and those bees just dropped right down into the box. The queen landed on her shoulder, so she was sure she was able to gather up the queen and put the queen in the box, so she was absolutely positive that it was in there. And she let them calm down, and then she put the lid back on. And of course, they have to stay in the box now for about 48 hours so that they can get reacclimated to the box. And then when she puts them back in the hive, which she will have to have moved, and then you apparently, once you move a hive, because bees apparently know down to the square inch where the entrance to their hive is in relation to their environment. So in order to make them forget, you've got to keep them restricted for 48 hours. Then, when you move the hive, you can put them in the hive, restrict them for another 48 hours, or 24 to 48. And you've got feeders in there and all of that, so they're eating. And then make it a little bit difficult for them to get out, to find their way out. As far as, he said, this is Lead Farmer, he says, like, put a branch, or actually it was Lady Lead, put a branch or something in front of the hive entrance so that they have to kind of figure out how to get out, and that way they'll communicate to each other exactly where the entrance is again in relation to the environment. And apparently they do that with their little bee dance and their little buzzes, and that's the noises that they make. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is going to be fine. In the meantime, she knows that the queen is in the box because there were other bees smelling their queen that were trying to get into the box. Now, she wasn't going to worry about those guys because there's really nothing that, she doesn't want to open the box again to let a bunch of bees in. But anyway, so that is the saga with hopefully a happy ending. Hopefully a happy ending from Homestead Heart. And so it was a great way to start the day with, some sort of good news to follow up on the devastation of, all of the bad news that she had been delivering earlier in the week. So, in the meantime, of course, there was also the ultimate kindness of Lead Farmer 73 and Lady Lead. By the way, they're two different channels, but they're husband and wife. Lady Lead is really a beekeeper extraordinaire. She breeds her own queens, and then of course, does her part of the garden. Lead Farmer mostly does trees and other things, but Lady Lead is the one who plants herbs and talks about square foot gardening and all of those different kinds of things. I have no idea why I'm waving my hands there. It could be I'm trying to make a point. I did want to say that one of the things that I do when I work on these pictures is I try and work from the left side of the page to the right side. And and the reason is so that my hand isn't in the wet as I am, because I'm right-handed. So when you work on your pages, how do you do it? Do you work top to bottom? Do you work the central focal point outward? What do you do? In this particular case, when I'm working with a wet medium, I always try and work left to right. That way I'm not putting my hand right in the middle of it. So that's just a bit. Now, as you can see, of course, I've been blending together these greens to make this really pretty palm frond. I really like the way that this turns out. Inktense really is magic to me. Now, this, of course, is wet. It will be slightly lighter when it dries, although not really. And, of course, a good water brush delivers just the right amount of water. Behind this page, you can see that there's a larger gray page. That is a standard size sheet of cardstock, and it is really only there. It's there as kind of a page protector on the other side, but it doesn't really need one because Inktense does not bleed through unless you get it so wet that you've saturated the page with so much pigment. Then you might get shadowing on the other side, but it is a medium that you don't have to worry about ruining your picture on the other side, especially not in these thick books. Now, I originally learned that from Katrine at Always Coloring. We all remember Katrine. We lost Katrine way too early, but that's a sad thing, so we're not going to go there. But so much knowledge there about coloring and using Inktense, especially in the Clara Markovas, the Hannah Carlsons, and the Maria Trolles. Those three, I believe, are all published by the same publisher. I could be wrong. I know Maria Trolle and Hannah Carlson have the same publisher, the same American publisher, and I think the same Dutch publisher as well, or Swedish publisher. At any rate, so you don't have to worry about Inktense bleeding through. Likewise, I used acrylic paint markers for the butterflies, which is one of the reasons why there's so much glare. Those are glitter paint. They're beautiful, but there is a lot of glare on those butterflies, so I apologize for that. But I really like the way that these palm fronds came out with the mix of the leaf green, the fern green, which is the lightest, and the light olive. So it is sort of my yellow-green color combo Inktense color of choice, so to speak. But I really do like it. Let's see, what else has been going on in the news? Well, we've got our friends in Iowa. That is just so devastating. The people that were in the line of that particular tornado, and so much wind damage, so many crops, wiping out all those fields of soybeans. We have to remember that those are, that was how somebody was going to be paying their bills, or at least a part of their bills. So, that is just, and I know that this, beside heat waves, and here in America, we've got heat waves going through the east, or the west coast, sorry. There's rolling blackouts because the power companies are being taxed by, or not taxed, but the resources being taxed. There's too much demand and not enough supply. That's it, taxed. For the electricity to run the air conditioners because it's so hot there. So the power company is having to roll blackouts through the area, to try and preserve power so that everybody can stay on. But it is creating a hardship for some folks that I know of that are, of course, it's a tough time to do it when everybody is, for the most part, putting forth the extra effort to stay home and not to go out. It used to be that when you'd have something like that, you could go to the mall or, go hang out in a restaurant or whatever. And of course, they're discouraging that in California right now. I feel bad for the homeless people as well because there's no escaping the heat for them. California has got such high prices, and people who live there and who actually have jobs are not able to afford housing, so they're living in tents. And then, of course, there's plenty of homeless there as well. So I think about it, am concerned for all of those folks, and worried for people's mental health, especially as here in America we get closer to a rather contentious election. It's sad to see people being so cruel to each other, all over politics. And, I could talk about that, but I can't because I will usually upset either half of the people who love me or the other half of the people who just barely tolerate me, that kind of thing. So I have no political opinions, thank you very much. Well, I do, but none that I can share. I will tell you that I have been watching, as I will the other side's convention. I have been watching the DNC convention and really enjoying the unity, the call to unity that it is espousing, and I hope that the other side takes the same tack. When they have their convention next week. So we shall see how that goes. But in the meantime, there's always coloring, because coloring is what we do in order to maintain our sanity in a otherwise insane world. At least it's what I do. Hopefully it's what you do too. I think one of the hardest things about being a citizen of any kind of a democracy is always trying to be the informed electorate. You don't want to. I've said for years that that if you aren't informed, you don't know what they're getting away with, kind of thing. And so I just try and make sure that I know what's going on by watching speeches and hearings and things like that, so I don't have to count on other people's opinions to inform mine. All right, now what I've started doing here is to just darken up the shadow underneath the little leaf hut roof there. I'm using the dark chocolate, pulling it directly off the brush, and I will darken up the entire line around there, and then I'm also going to do the sides just a bit darker, just sort of bumping up the contrast a little bit, remembering that, of course, when you are trying to add dimension to a piece that you're coloring, that's a flat page, you do that, of course, with color. And so you're creating shadow, you're creating contrast through your use of light and dark. And that will become really evident when I do the sky on this piece, which we will do here shortly. And So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Uh, in case I sound just a little bit discombobulated, it is now a new day. Um, I stopped recording on this last night, and of course, new stuff has happened, namely another hearing involving our postmaster, and so I've been watching that, and my brain is wrapped around postal service and and budget and money and delivery vans and and testimony and stuff like that, and stuff that I hadn't thought about. That the fact that the postal service really is the window to the outside world for a lot of rural communities. And when I say rural, I mean, out in the middle of no place at all. And the post office is the only visit they get on a daily basis. And they all know their letter carrier or their package carrier, whatever. I was also putting together what was meant by the last mile, having to do with, but it was like little locks clicking into place. How does Amazon get their packages to us in such a timely fashion, in an area outside of their prime service? And that is they only have to get it to the distribution center for the local post office because the post office is going there anyway. So that also went a long way to explain why the rate that Amazon would get is a discounted rate, because they're not having to, the post office isn't moving it across the country. Amazon's logistics have taken care of that. It's one of the reasons why there are so many Amazon distribution centers. So they don't have to, they can move that stuff a shorter distance. So I just thought that was interesting. I like to know how stuff works. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just have too much time on my hands. All right. Now, what will be the next thing that I work on here? I believe it is going to be the sky, and I am going to use the graphitins for that. But before I do, I am actually going to add some glitter gel pen to these flowers. I want them to be a little more, I want them to stand out just a little bit more, so I'm just going to add a little bit of glitter gel pen to them. I've never found anything that can't be enhanced or improved with a little glitter. That's hard to say 3 times. Little glitter. And so I'll hold it up when I'm done adding it in there, and it'll look really cute. So I don't know, when you guys work on a coloring, do you save your details for last, or do you do them as you're working on the piece? I do it a lot if I'm waiting for something to dry, or and I don't want to stop, or if I'm on stream, so that I'm at least doing or showing something while while waiting for something to dry, so that I'm hopefully I'm not boring everybody, because I don't want to be boring ever. Now, I am putting this up without cutting very much of the video out this time, primarily because that is a whole lot of editing, but yeah, see there, you can see the pretty little glitter dots on there. But I'm also doing it mostly because it's just an awful lot of editing. And so I apologize that I have not edited out all of my ums or short silences or anything like that. Now, I am talking about the acrylic paint marker that I used for those butterflies. And I really, when I'd originally done them on stream, I had done them in sort of green and blue, and they got lost in those leaves. So I switched everything over to an orange and yellow on the ones underneath, and a pink, and let me look at it more closely, sort of a pink and orange on that big one. What I'm doing right here is I'm searching out the graphitins, which were in a stack behind me. And these are Derwent's graphite they're water-soluble graphite. So the same stuff that a pencil, a regular lead pencil, is made out of is what these are, but it's tinted lead. And I love the graphitins. These were a gift from Shannon, and Shannon is Miss Shara's sister, and I absolutely love these. They're beautiful. I will be pulling out the swatch book here in a second to show you the different colors that are in this set. They're much more subtle than the Inktense in that they're graphite. They're a great tool to use. I tend to use mine most if I'm going to do something in watercolor. And I want to sketch it out before I start. That way it just disappears into the whatever it is that I'm painting. I'm having a little trouble locating that. There it is. I found it. Okay, these are the graphitins applied at different heavinesses. Obviously, the top section of those squares is darker, the bottom section is the lighter application, and then this is what I call my graphitint blend page, and it just is an idea of how the different colors blend into each other. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go for that one that's up there right next to the big X up there on the top, and that is the ocean blue and the meadow, and I think that is going to form the background. Now I'm not going to use it as subtly as that. It'll be quite a bit darker, and you'll see that that was sort of unintentional, but you'll see that when it's finished it actually doesn't look bad at all. In fact, it makes it look like the little cabin there, or the little hut, is deep in the woods, and like there's a sunny field behind it. I'm adding a green, like a bushy background for a light green grass, maybe a field of deep grass is back there. I'm telling myself a story is really how I'm thinking about this. Now, this green and the fern green that I've used there on that fern frond are a little close together, and they're different enough to where when you sort of get down and examine it, they are different colors. But I appreciate that from back here, from an overall standpoint right now, that is somewhat difficult to see. But now I'm going to start adding the blue, and this is where I am going very lightly, and then I'm going to go heavier up as we get toward the top of the page. And the reason is because when you look at a blue sky, it is the bluest, of course, the farther you tilt your head back. So when you're looking straight up, you're actually looking out into space, into daytime space. Um, and so it's the darkest blue up near the top. So that's what I'm doing there. That actually brought to mind one of the things that I have on my desktop computer is uh, Windows 10 comes with one of those services that changes out the picture when you first boot up. And I've trained mine to show me pictures of nature. Not cities or buildings or anything like that, but actually, things like rivers and fields and mountains and the other day it came up with the night sky, and it reminded me that I had occasioned a conversation with my next door neighbor. Now, she's lived in that same house all of her life. It's the house her parents owned. When they passed away, she inherited it. She and her husband have lived there. They've raised a family there. She has never seen the stars. Now, and I don't mean the stars when you go outside and you look up from that vantage point in Virginia. Yes, there are some stars in the sky, but not the stars. In order to see the stars, you have to go someplace where it actually gets black dark. Dark, dark, dark. Now for me, because I spent so many years in Nevada, one of the places that is the darkest on the U.S. continent is in the Great Basin, which is out in the middle of the Nevada desert. And there is virtually no light pollution out there. And you can look up at the sky, and I guarantee you that you will catch your breath. It is so awesome. And it just gives you an idea of the vastness of space. There are literally billions upon billions of stars up there. And you can see them all. you obviously you can't see them close up, but you can see them. You can see as many as you can see. Certainly way more than you could ever count in a lifetime. But that just tickled me that, she had never. I told her, I said, you gotta go someplace where it's really dark and see the stars. They're just awesome. But that's apparently the photograph was from someplace in Greenland, I think. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. When it came up on my screen, I went, because that's the reaction that you have. It's like a cute puppy, or an adorable baby, or the gasp that you get when you are just awed by something. Just that absolutely awed, that feeling that you get when you go to the Grand Canyon and you stand anywhere, on the rim, and you look down and down and down and down, and it seems like it just doesn't end. It's huge. It's awe-inspiring. So, yeah, if you get a chance and you haven't seen it, go to the Grand Canyon. Look at the stars in the dark. Experience all those wonderful things, because there is just so much natural beauty in the world that inspires coloring too. And obviously I'm not going to draw in a whole bunch of stars up there, but I might put in a few. I might put in a few just up near the top there, although I haven't quite got that far with this particular piece yet. The latter part of this video is going to be voiced in real time. I have not yet colored it. I just wanted to voice over this part to catch up to where I actually am in the drawing, and then be able to bring it back to you. I hope that you are enjoying the coloring of this particular piece. Once again, this book is Flora. It is by Maria Trolle. She is one of my absolute favorites. I do have most of her books. I don't have them all, but I certainly have most of them. And thanks to the wonderful subscribers to my channel and their generosity. And I am just thrilled to be able to color in them. Maria is, like I said, she is one of my favorites. She and Jane Hankins are probably ranked 1 and 2. And it just depends upon which day as to which one gets the #1 spot. Of course, beside myself. I do like coloring my own work as well, and I hope that you do too. I did want to give a special shout out to Miss Susan Welks, who was so kind as to post a video in my coloring group. She has, for the first time, she's actually finished a book front to back, and it's one of mine. She colored my 48 Mandalas book, excuse me, from front to back, and may I say she did an absolutely astounding job. And I asked her to, and she was kind enough to upload that video into the group for everybody to see. And I am just so flattered, A, that she thought enough of my work to color it, and B, that she was kind enough to make the video in the first place for me. Because after all, as I've said before, and I will say until my dying breath, that is why we do it. We do it, I mean, it's just such joy to see what you guys do with the art that we artists draw. I can really only speak for myself, but I sort of am fairly certain that I can speak for a larger number of us who feel exactly that way. It's just so wonderful that when somebody selects something that we drew, and spends money on it, and then, is proud enough of the art that they've collaborated on, that that they show it publicly. And I just, it's what it's all about. It is why we do it. And anyway, the blue as it's coming up here is awfully dark in this back part. Now that is partly an accident, and it is partly intentional. I wanted it bluer, obviously, because that is the deeper sky up that high. But I did get a little bit heavy with the pigment. I think if I had the chance to do it again, I would probably go a little bit lighter, but I'm not unhappy with the result, and I honestly don't know if I can erase or lighten up the graphitent after it has been water activated or not. When I come to the real time, or the real time recording of this, here at the end, I will certainly see if I can't remember to give that a try, so that you guys will know whether or not you can erase the graphitent. Now, I know that with watercolor, of course, you can re-wet it and blot it up. I don't know if you can do that with the graphite or not. That will be another experiment to try. In the meantime, I just am really enjoying the way that it looks. It almost looks like a sort of cloudy, stormy sky when I get done with it, and I'm really liking that. Really, really liking that a lot. So what are you guys coloring? What what is your latest project? I got an Instagram message from my dear friend Corolla, who some of you may know from groups. or from chats, and she's got some new coloring supplies in, and my friend Barb Zanger got some very cool oil pastels from Faber-Castell, and apparently they sent her 2 boxes out, and so she asked them what to do with the second box, and they said to go ahead and keep it. So she asked me if I would like to have it, and I said that's a loaded question. I said, have I ever turned down a coloring supply? So she has gone ahead and sent them to me, and she colored her very first picture with it. And I do have to say, Barb, if you listen to this, your picture turned out absolutely wonderfully. And it's really beautiful. So I've been watching a couple of videos on oil pastel, and I'll show them to you on Sunday in Sunday's stream, and we'll see what they can do. Obviously, I will have to learn something about them, kind of like the pan pastels that I keep threatening to use again. I used them that one time, actually I think a couple of times, on various things, but one of them most notably being the Jane F. Hankins Gypsy Moth and picture. So we'll just have to see if the pan pastels and the oil pastels make their way out into the stream soon. There it is, that green again, that is just blending a little too well with the color of those fern leaves, and which is another reason why I want to see if I can lighten that up. It's perfectly fine because it really does add to sort of that greenery type background, but I just don't know that it is exactly, I don't know, I could always darken up the fern because technically it is, it could be shaded by that tree a little bit more. I could darken up the fern leaves to make them pop a little more against that lighter colored background. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. In the meantime, I am getting happier and happier with that sky as it's coming together. And when it's all finished, it really is quite beautiful. So I've been sitting here trying to think of something, useful to talk about. And we're just at that time of year where, I know what it was. I wanted to say to my Gulf Coast friends with a pair of hurricanes headed your direction, please, prepare for the storm, prepare for the worst. I swear 2020 is really dishing it out to the entire world. Not quite sure what's going on, but hopefully coming years will be quieter and calmer, and that'll be nice for all of us. If we can get through 2020, we'll be in good shape. Actually, if we can get through 2020, we'll know we can get through anything. Right? Let's see. Just trying to think of if there's anything else on the, on the particular news front. As far as things that I really watched. I mean, other than the fact that I have a tendency to watch a lot of world affairs, just different takes from different places, and just sort of learning how they do different things. Like this week, I looked up and reread the Constitution of the United States, complete with all of the amendments, and just to make sure that it's a remarkably simple document. The Bill of Rights, remarkably simple document. For such a simple document, it to be so strong and so powerful and so grateful that it is so. And then, of course, with all the other stuff that's going on in the world with this virus and with people taking it in some seriously and some not seriously, and then having to make my own choices as far as I had said, I made a Facebook post that I had to go out and get some things that I just could not get delivered. And it was nice because here in Virginia, we've had a bit of our area was a bit of a hot spot. I live near a beach. I don't live near the beach, but I live in a town that has a beach. And because of that, of course, it has quite a bit of summer gathering going on, but the beaches are closed, which of course has wreaked havoc on tourism, which is how a lot of our businesses get through the year. So, there's all of that going on, as it's the same way across the country, I believe. So, it's nobody is escaping what is going on, and hopefully it just all comes right, and 2021 will maybe see a vaccine. I hope that it's something that we all feel comfortable with. Everybody will have to make their own choice, of course, because you can't force people to do something they don't want to do. And it'll be interesting to see how that comes out when we cross that road, which I have no doubt that we will come to it. We will come to that area. Actually, I think right now what I'm doing is I am talking about what the next steps are, whether or not I want to do the tree and the flowers first, or whether or not I want to drop down and do the boat and the water. So stay tuned, because here comes the real-time coloring part. Oh, well, hello everybody. I am back in real time. Hopefully the sound is okay, and we will go from there. I think I fixed the sound recording problem. I tested it and it actually works. Okay, so I have in my hand the browns to do the tree, and it occurs to me that you've already seen me do a tree, the last tree on Sunday's stream, and I could do that. So I think that what I might want to do, since this video is already running a little bit over an hour, is I might do the water first. Now, I looked up, I just want to make sure that I'm in good focus since I moved the camera. I looked up the some examples of how to do water running by a trees that are drinking out of it, and I came up with a rather cartoony photograph. I can't really show it to you, but I think it's going to give me what I want. Now it does, however, have a component of a very, very light, like turquoise green, and I don't believe that I have anything quite that light in my Inktense, but we are going to give it a shot. Now I'm sort of staying away from the very edge, right? And I'm just sort of going around following these little lines that Maria put in. Around all of the obstacles in the water. And I actually want to leave that light space so that it is the differentiation between the bank and the water. So it'll actually show, and I could actually use, I might actually try the teal as well. Although the green aquamarine is probably okay. And I'll use the teal outside a little bit. Now I am sort of breaking my own protocol by not having colored all this in, but I think I'll be able to work around that. I just want to show you all the elements of the things without and then maybe I'll do a little bit of this color out in here. But then I'm going to switch over to the the dark aquamarine and do some of these other areas out here. And I'm really just sort of following these. There's these tiny little dots that Maria has put in to sort of give the water motion. And so I'm just sort of following those. And just filling in a little bit of the space. Just like that. I haven't even done the boat yet. I'm just so excited about the water, I guess. Just adding a little bit lightly, really just, once again, just sort of letting the weight of the pencil do the work. Okay, and then I can throw a little teal green, or actually mallard green. Mallard green would work to add just a little bit of interest to this water. So maybe I'll add that in. Oops. Move my camera controls out of my way. There we go. There. Okay. Sorry about that. They were blocking my screen. Blocking my view of the screen. Oops, sorry. And so I'm not being very dark to start out with. Can always add color later, but I just want to, you know, to get a little bit of it in here. Because I can always go darker later. And we'll see how we've done. Okay. Keep your fingers crossed, right? Hopefully, it's just going to be fairly light. So I just want to... This will probably show up better against the other side where the dark brown is already in to mark the bank. So stay away from the from the bottom of the boat. So see how I'm just leaving an area sort of surrounding the things that are oops, I didn't do very well with that one, did I? That's okay. Once again, we don't require perfection. But I do want to I don't want to totally mess it up. One of the reasons why I was so upset at myself that I had forgotten to or that I honestly I don't know what happened on the sound on that other, because I had to try and remember what I was talking about, and this unfortunately has gone from a midweek video to a I think I'm probably going to end up posting this on Saturday, and I'll have another live show on Sunday, so that's not that wasn't my intention. I apologize, everybody. But this video will be there for whenever folks want to watch it. Just see if I can do the little connectors there. Yeah, okay. I'm not disliking the way that that's turning out. Could I do it different next time? Probably, but next time I'll have more experience. This is actually the first time I've ever, well, it's not the first time, because I did the water in that fountain where we ended up doing the reflection of the bird in the fountain. And I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I have I've ordered the parts for it, but they're not here yet. I have to replace the innards of the commode in the bathroom that just sits right off my office. So if you hear the water kicking on, it's because the tank is leaking. Hopefully they'll be here early next week. It's always one thing or another, I'm telling you what. Fortunately, or unfortunately, I didn't have the presence of mind to marry a plumber, so I had to learn to do that kind of stuff for myself. This will mark the third time, I think, since that I've had to tear it down and put in a new interior. But that's not bad, and I've been in this house almost 20 years, so. And yeah, see, I like that. Okay. That's a little better. Oh, I'm liking that water. Okay, that's not awful. I'm actually just sort of softening up, trying to soften up these edges a little bit. They're awfully harsh. All right, I like that. Okay. So now what do I want to do for the boat? What do I want to do for the boat? Well, I think one of the things I am going to do is I want to pick up this red, the same red that I used in the Ladybug. And I believe that was the hot red. It might have been the chili red. Let me see. Yeah, I think it was the chili red. So what I want to do is I want to do this top stripe of the boat, the chili red. And I'm thinking that I'm going to leave the bottom stripe just white. But I'm not going to put it in just yet. These are the edges of the boat right here. And, oops. Okay, the oarlocks, which are right here, I'm going to do in metallic. And the benches and the interior of the boat will be wood. Well, maybe we'll do the, well, let's see how the outside of the boat looks before we start messing around with the inside. So this will be just trying to tie in the red. So I'll use the red here. And I don't know, sort of going with the rule of 3, because you need to use, if you're going to use a color like that, you need to use it in 3 spots. But I think that in this particular case, 3 might not be the right choice. Okay, so we'd go, well, I don't know. What do you think, guys? I'm thinking that red might be, you know, just go ahead and make it a little red boat. I think we'll just go ahead and make it a little red boat. And now we're going to use a dark stroke here at the waterline. And then lighter up here. Dabbing up because I'm trying hard to get messy there. Okay. Now, if the outside of the boat is red, well, let's see here. Then what color is the inside of the boat? Well, the inside of the boat's got to be maybe a nice tan color. Let's see. Okay. Maybe we'll go with tan. We can always change it. Oh, only I think that instead of, I think I just made this, I think that I just made the wrong things. Yeah, I did. I just made the wrong things that color. So, of course, I don't know where my eraser is. Let's see here. Let's try this. Because you can erase Inktense as long as it hasn't been activated yet. And I think I got most of it out of there. So, let's see. Let's try this again. This is the brown slat right here. And well, see, here's the problem. That's where he's going to sit. Here's the other one. All right. I don't have a regular pen, so I'm just going to... There we go. There's the third one. Where's the tan? That was the amber. I just had the tan. It was just in my hand. It's a snake. It's going to jump out. It's going to bite me. There it is. Okay. So it needs to have 3 slats. Like that, right? Maybe it'll be a little red and white boat. Alright, and then we're going to take our subtle brown and our gold, or our mustard. Let's take our mustard and use it for our oars. And we can also use it for the interior woodworking. I just went ahead and colored the oarlocks as well. Okay. Oh. Alright, so the inside of the boat can be white if we wanted to. We'll just pretend they painted it with white paint. Okay, so that is the water. Now, before I do sign off on this video, I do want to show you one thing. Let's see here. This, I don't know exactly. This is out of my deli pencil set, I believe. And I just want to sharpen this a little bit. Because one of the things that remember that we were talking about establishing shadow and contrast and depth and all of that. Let me get you down here. And I wanted to make sure I'm in decent focus. There we go. I just wanted to add just a little bit of a brown around the door so that you get the idea that it actually is a door, you know? There's space there. Now, not because it's over to the side. I don't want to go all the way. But I do want to do this. So that it more looks like, you know, like you're looking at it from a somewhat oblique angle. And we could bring it all the way down. I think there's nothing that would be harmed if we did that. I could also do this with black. So I'm just doing it with regular, this is just a regular oil-based pencil. You could do it with a wax pencil as well. Okay, so I just wanted to add that little bit in. And then if you wanted to, you could even add a bit of a shadow around the other side of the door frame so that it looked a little bit like it was standing proud. And you could do the same thing here. To make it look as if that's a, you know, a windowsill that's sticking out. And then the last little touch is, oops, now I don't know where they are. I wanted the gel pens back. And I can't find them, so we'll just use this. I've got the silver. And I just want to add just a touch and another touch. And that way when you tilt it up, it looks like there is I think I may have to get the gel pen. I don't know where it is. When I used it yesterday and oh, there they are. Well, it's too late now. But a little later on, I'll take the silver gel pen and I'll go over those same lines just to add that little bit of zhuzh there on that metal pipe. Yeah, that silver was too... Ooh. Well, good, we can wipe it off. Let's see here. Let's see if this will work. Oh yeah, that works. There we go. That's the look I wanted right there. All right. So I will be doing the remainder of the flowers and the tree just exactly the way that I did the other side. And then we will be... See if I can get you back in autofocus. Oh boy, that's terrible, isn't it? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was actually good focus. It could just be that my eyes are not working tonight. It is sort of late. It is 4 o'clock in the morning on Friday night, Saturday morning. Anyway, I do hope that you have enjoyed this particular coloring adventure, and that you will soon do a coloring adventure of your own. I can highly recommend Flora. I do love this book. And so, until we meet again, everybody, please be safe. Take care of yourself and your family. Color something pretty. I'll see you on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you then.